and without fear.
All the Buddhists who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awakened to unsurpassable.
Pe sonam ji chola pinche sangye drupa sho. Sonam ji chola pinche sangye drupa. 다른 This beginning again this Monday class, which is to do with the Lamrim, the graduated steps on the path to enlightenment, and particularly the vast scope in general. It is Dharma. Within that context, it is the great vehicle of the Mahayana Dharma. And whether something becomes Dharma or not, or whether it becomes Mahayana Dharma or not, whether one is teaching it, interpreting it, or listening to it, depends on one's motivation. If the motivation is not there or sound, it would be better not to engage. In that sense, one is not motivating just for making money or just listening for knowledge or whatever, but the motivation should be one of the bodhicitta. That motivation then should be one of the bodhicitta, the altruistic heart of awakening thought, thinking that today one will solely generate such a mind in order to help other living beings. Of course, we're talking about the goal, the final goal, which is the final state or the final bliss of Buddhahood. But in order to do that, one has to remove the suffering in one's own mind, or stop the suffering in one's own mind. If one can't do that, then one can't have or act in accordance with that bodhicitta or beneficial intention. So that final bliss of Buddhahood then that we're going for depends on that intention. So in that sense, first we have to generate a valid path. In order to generate that valid path, we have to know. In order to know, we have to hear that path and study. So therefore, essentially, that motivation should be one of kind heart.
개와 상무니 산 개와 상무 가스니 라베 말이다 레레다 무진디나야 최 부타고 지 딘데지 여와데 공부를 여와데 터바치니 냠네 셰토고 줄리지니 니요레 시 냠네 치니 여르데레 냠 신이데 니요쇼레 안데 셰브 터고레 터니 데시라 니요레 당하나 하고더라 니유다 문에 개와상부 문에 레레다 임바디 임바시나 가고 그래서 최근에 되게 중요하지
Mhm.
이런 개와상부 인생 산이나니 가르가르지 시라자 하고 배야 말 이제 단지 믿다 그래라
And one should rejoice that one has the fortune or opportunity to listen to such a Dharma, the graduated steps to enlightenment. I'm not just saying this, it's not just something that is said in the world. To even come across Dharma is very rare, very few people. And within that, those that come across it, very few realize it. It is rare to find someone that knows it, someone that teaches it. It's rare to find those that actually listen and get realizations around that. So, the future, one should recognize this opportunity and rejoice as it is a reality. It's true, isn't it? Because all compound things are impermanent, and tomorrow we do not know.
디인류다 당보 남바산예외 니 추세야지 니 시발라 당보 니 시남샤 니 시남샤 디니 변시라 송로 저무신기 특별해 나 변주된 무슨 나로
Mm-hmm.
시남샤 디니 변시
Mm-hmm.
시 코가지도 지싱에스 시 남샤들 템바니 시고레스로
Yep.
대신발라 되네 딘시기 코와 주고던 도게 남샤디 야고지 시고레스로 이시 코와지도 지싱에스
Laro.
네 대중나네 세메트데 겹순디 같은 사람자서 진로스데 일해야다 주 중당 주 딩기 남들은 받이게디 델라 템브레 다데 남바산예베 시림 남부터당데 요 디 등에바디 셰고요레 기시나 남바산예베서데 간레지미 고텐샤그레 시그레스
Laro Gishla. His Holiness composed praise to the 17 masters of the Nalanda tradition. So, in that context of the Buddha Dharma, basis, path, and result, in terms of the first of those, the basis, in a general way, it is said that by gaining a thorough understanding of the two truths and how, independence of the two truths, one enters into and can reverse the cycle of existence, cyclic existence, one can come to have a valid cognition or, a valid understanding of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So this is talking about the two initial scopes, initial and medium capacity. And this really is talking about the general foundation of Buddhism, the broad overview of the path. No. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
남샤디 무이리지 남샤디 숭바디 뭐 템바레스로 하나디 이시고에 김생하래 라인으로
Yeah. So then coming back to that first line, based on a thorough understanding of the two truths, the basis of the two truths. Truth here is talking about reality, what accords with the way things are, the way, that which accords with the way things are. So, for example, if someone speaks truth, we say, oh, that's a truthful person. So, here, what is set forth are these two realities, these two truths, the relative truth and the ultimate truth. Now, why do we need to come to know that? Mm-hmm.
대단다 군수 덴바스야 지난다 지 신이 세당 그다 수수수 되면다 요래 이나다 거대고 시에이나 아니 지 내가 유대버지라 아니 파 이거도 되죠 싫어 내가 유대버지라 다고 되면 매대 주서 이니 또 로군조 봤으나 로군조에 뭐를 그때 같이 내가 그 뭐를 주다라고 지금 내가 뭐를 주다
Yes.
말하면서 시작하는 테테 군조 된 말. 그래서 뭐 내가 지금 내가 지금 내가 찾아보다
Yeah.
아니 뭐 내가 뭔지 말하면서 내가 왜 미 내가 지금 그도래 시도래 계도래 말하면서 뭐 단도 통화에 요 뭐도 상마 알려다 내가 지금 유대어지라 매वे서 오지라 그것에 대한 바지 배는 다디 거대 식으로는 켜야 말이야.
Yeah. Lovely. So then, why is it necessary to know these two truths as a basis? Well, firstly, relative truth, of course, all of the different tenets or schools within Buddhism set forth those conventional or relative truths in a different manner. But we would say generally it's the fact that there's a temporal quality to them, that they don't stay. That is truth for a deceptive mind in the sense that if we look at this book, for example, will be one day there and then one day not. And anything that is an entity like that is one day there, one day not. Like humans, we born and die, no? So one can see all compounds like that or relative truths. We're talking generally, I'm giving a general understanding of relative truth. Mm-hmm.
세상 말하는 엘레 내가 타도게 뭐에 내가 비교하지 내가 뭐도 단지 하고 왜요 말이야. 먼저 그래서 상황원에 챙겨 그랬어.
나를
타도게지 다 대파 여러 체인지 내가 들립니다. 왔어요. 그거를 유난 얘네 눈에 총알에서 깨워서 제발해서 이제 먹고지도.
Yep.
그냥 이거를 다시 되려요. 이거를 다시 임바딩 렌치게 말이야. 이 이주장가라 대왕이 레시다다 뭐는 타도다 알레 상당히 유유쇼 내가 그 모두다데 렌치니 하고 싶어지래도 제가 그 반대 나와서 아마 주변에 이제 손도 대니 남이 관계 미시바 근데 남도로 남이 대반이 남이 미시베 온게 남도로 왜 남gem바 쇼도야 됐어 남도로 왜 남이 제가 나라서 리니 시고에 금전 가려서는 나라서 단다 강에 와야 상마디 맞아. 알레고는 타도도 파샤니 내가 뭐도 단지 마시면 오는 거라 강에 상마 이혼이 거였어. 그래서 심나래야. 예, 내주로 직서제와 직례 말에 슬라바니 뭐 내주도 마탕 그래서 좀로지 망고에서 투미지 남도게 아니 그래서 상마 차도 되자다 마제다 공부다 그래서 망고지는 안 하는 마제게 나 실지 인스로
Yeah.
나 보스 인스 나 데렉터 인스 나 게시 인스 나 캔고 인스 다 명예예도 zor라 누가 도와드리 그들와 님정도 zor라 대지 용어요. 대지 명예예도 zor니 나 파워를 유에 체인지 가져 컨트롤로 치야게 이제 망고 차르데 이제 중에 이제 마시가 뭐도 강에 망고지 태 이 스트레스 여러 데 인가를 디프레션 다 논이 이제 보고 차야돼서 다 남도 주민지 남도 같이 마음이 미제 조금 용어도
Mm-hmm.
어다지 제가 뭐 이제 김내는 배인다 니니 남시아데 네바디 시고요 에즈 시고요 니 남자 시고에 김제데 하나도 강에 와야 상마데 니나 미시고 요래라
So leave alone the ultimate mode of truth then, just the relative truth we're ignorant of that. So that, because we believe the things that we see to be true, so we're ignorant not only of the final mode of things, but even this conventional level, we're ignorant of that. So this level of things being impermanent, things being made up of causes and conditions, or even parts, we can't even see that they are a changing moment by moment very subtly. We can't even see that. Leave alone those people that actually see the final mode of phenomena. Very difficult. As Chandrakirti states in the Middle Way, it is due to being ignorant of these two truths that sentient beings go down a mistaken path. And why is that the case? Due to the ignorance first of the conventional level, the relative truth, we get into all sorts of troubles and we suffer a lot. We make up things that are not there. We make up fantasies or stories in dependence on these thoughts of inappropriate attention, these thoughts that are not valid. And then, in dependence on those invalid perceptions, the disturbing thought, obscurations come. Desires, attachment, hatred, jealousy, competitiveness, all of these things. And that's particularly a point for those people who have like a position of power. If they're a boss, a kempo, a director, a gishi, whatever, there's a danger there that because of those things or believing them to be real, there's probably less of a danger for people that are just humble without perhaps such authority. But in short, the point of understanding the two truths is so that we can remove all of these sufferings that comes from the ignorance of those two truths. Yeah. 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 So we have this notion of Buddha Dharma, or even Chö Dharma, and we place a lot of emphasis on the great vehicle, isn't it? The Mahayana vehicle, or so special. And then even some people like emptiness, they go for that. Tantra, they go for that because it's got such a great name. But there's a point there that you could leave behind the teaching of causality, cause and condition, or the teaching on impermanence. And without that grounding, you're going to be further away from emptiness, so far away. That would be like a person saying they're going to make momos when they don't know how to make them. It would be all right if they... Yeah, like a person who doesn't know how to make food saying that they're going to make momos. It's okay if they knew how to make momos, but if they can't make them, how could they profess to do it? They can't cook. Yeah. And also these days, there's a danger that we humans just go for the best, like the most famous or the best name in terms of a teacher. But what comes to be the case is that those that are showing the signs of attainment in Tukdam, um, the death awareness process, absorption and meditation, tend not to be famous. You know, some of them might stay 1 or 2 days and then the body starts to smell and then they have to be, what's the word, incinerated. But it is the humble monks often that can stay in 1 month or days, weeks in the Tukdam. So here we have to be careful. Who's really practicing here? Not just name. Yeah.
social media da ne tammi na ma de nyamne jinire su su thona nyamne jinire so nyamne se de sing che goro ba sing gi yun ne de che thona yo ma che na shida su nyamne chi gi su nyamne chi gi ne ko che yo ma che na mo we ne da di mo we ne ju di she we da ne su du gi su du me shida wa le ma che na ha ba de ni mi ya ji ne kana cho che sa la na shi re mi le ya kam len ki ti nga zo ta na nyamne ka de sho re 밀레야다 컬러소레 밀레야 커뮤니티에 소로 밀 자지먼 쉐어 텐데 타운인의 시기어 말해서 신규 표저디 유로 전주심 유미다 돈이도 왜 싫어 유미는 하고 그러
Yeah.
제가 이 인지상으로 상말라야 가고 상말라야 아니 거리 친구인가 상마다 제이나 캡사이로 좋아요 말해서
So then, not being able to recognize a valid practitioner, conversely, in this modern time, practice can be broadcast on Facebook or social media, almost like you're feigning that you show people that you practice, but in reality, it would be more like the other way around, that you can't see mind, right? So then how can you see the quality of a practitioner? So the point being made is that we cannot know who and can't have attainments. That is reality. So in that sense, I made the statement the other day, it is better not to complain or judge about others because we can't see their qualities. They might have bodhicitta or an understanding of emptiness. It would be better to not complain, but just to rejoice and also remember other people's kindness. Yeah, because let alone know where others are at. Do you know where your own mind is at? We don't know, no? Yeah. That is.
안 하버드지 차바친 거지. 알아서다. 대외 미신이 되자로 차바는 거 여러 유래와 내가 돌아고 어디 한당하랑 네가 나한테 어디다 왜지 로가로 제가 남주당 내주 미튼 받지 여 이시행베이나 아 나한테 나랑 게 셈나는 수요시 요래셔서 아니 미리저 가르바라라 가르라만 나한테 수요시 생각한다지 표적 생각 별로 와르셔 대신에는 수수 셈이 시리도야 한거 군소되면 남샤지 시위네 편도 쉬우죠 들어가는 거 같은데 시내주디 군소된 바세야 내단지 심이나 아니 수술라 동해 시다 용어야 됐어 수술 동해 용어이나 미신달라 심리에 습소 말하러
Yeah.
수술문에 저의 미신이나니 동해서야 파샤 디디도야 되는 저문에 미디기로 수술 동해나 마기베시그레스 안 대화에는 가보시그레스 어디 미지 수술을 대화문에 이르다래서 그다음에 지저리도서 인제 장가가 수수 간이 수수를 생물 진이 믿어서 동해만서 팬도도 와 당고들어.
The benefit of knowing the two truths we can see with practitioners because they've understood the two truths, particularly the first truth. They suffer less and can help others more with affection. So, this point of understanding the two truths is a reality that, particularly with compounds, there is cause and condition behind them. And they are entities that are changing, very temporal, temporary. They're always going through change. An understanding of that really helps to reduce self-grasping, particularly this kind of desire, because we're in the desire realm. And in the desire realm, we are attracted to objects. For example, the way the eye perceives an object and the way the object is in reality, there's a disparity there, a disconjunct. Nangsul don nexum mitumba means the way things appear and the way they are not in accord with our mind. So in that sense, a lot of things are kind of made up by our minds. So that's important to remember. Now, in that sense, those people that, when it is said that you have to understand the basis or how the two truths are set forth, particularly the relative truth, then when a person has understood those things, there's less suffering for them, there's less worries, their minds are less afflicted. And that person, because they know impermanence, because they know change, their minds have more bliss, more well-being, they suffer less. And within that too, people can see how they're more affectionate. People like them. So just on that level, the person that knows the truths can help others. 망타래.
다리로 아니 제가 다디 내주다니 능주 미팅 봤어야 돼. 직신에 그러.
Yeah.
니 빼셔야이나. 너 빼셔야이나. 만나서 시골나는 수수 동거 통도. 시골다나 동거 통도. 시골나는 동거 통도 안 거도.
Yep.
시골나는 수수 동거 열어. 그러. 요 말아. 남주디 시골나는 동거 요 능거도.
Yep.
뭐에 내주디 시골나는 동거 열어서는 요 말아. 어디래 가서 단다 내가 뭐 쉬어지 수수 암저로 거 이게 통 아니 수수 이지지야 뭔거지 수수 생배 장난을 쓰신 요지 그래미지 왜 이제 시다지가 어디기요 제단데 뒤왕이 나서 때 그거는 같이 드라마서 나도 드라마면은 아니 마기베지 드라마로 이제 되네 엑사로 이제 되게 장난쇼는 배도자도 막 메시는 이까지 nyoktos jo chiklaya la ya chandas tu nyoro ji mena ju me de tu me so de ma mo yung do so so anzu ningji ke yu ro re se ro azi ta nyoro ro jenya se dang ro jenya se de na so khare sam ro ningji ta tu na ya go yor was
Going back to this disparity between appearance and reality, this disconjunct, the way things appear and the way they are in their final mode. So to give an example of that, the reflection of the face in the mirror, you know that you can see your face reflected in the mirror, but you know that the reflection of your face in the mirror is not your face. The appearance is there, but you know that that appearance is not really your face. Well, we adhere to phenomena in a similar way, believing everything we hear and see, and then, kind of following those appearances with the mind. And for a lot of people, that's their reality. And in fact, that becomes so much their reality, they're addicted to the drama. If they like to be excited, if they're not, because they get habituated to that appearance, right? So that's their experience. And if they don't have some kind of drama going on, they're not happy due to habituation. So there's like some people that say in this life, if there's no trouble, it's like there's no point. Well, that's not really Dharma. That's just like an object of compassion.
제가 다디 이제 먼저 수수 싫어게 아니 다제시 싫어게 이제 다디로 로전 제고 미시 로전 마시는 시험이더라
Yep.
로전 시 아니 하버드 항상 수수지 암조 담으로 거 미동 항상 이제 마시는 나데 빈더라 다디 에 나랑이 냠용도 레로 디직직 미직직 쉐어다 데랑사 이제 쟤는 아니 디뇨다서요 뭐다 다디 기나면은 수수 셈래야 이제 강의로 이제 가서 뉴슈 되고 알아. 그런 스트레스도 가지고 스트레스 내는 거. 그거 이제 맞지. 아, 다시 이나면은 가리나서 현존 시제 샤인 익스핑도. 주저다 간다. 이다가 가는 상담이 있는 거네 쟤는. 내주 망고지 대외 내주 차차를 야야야야 뭐에 뭐가. 디 강의 체제 저 미망고지가 대 툴을 배자더라. 대 다다 마음으로 배자 뭐 내주더라.
Mm-hmm.
이 세슈로 이제 툴지가 자베나 세우쇼요 말로. 다디 대외 내주식도 다다오식도 마음오식도. 상관 흘러로 집에 가도록이나 마상 단도로. 대외이나 차차라고 내시는 진짜로. 마음만이 연결 와다. 다다오 가는 거 무슨 대도이나 뭐내시나 sim 다다가 가는 데는 다 걸어갔다 보면 당한 마세마자 대변이 주치제 내가 뭐 거래 접지 이거로 제산다디 배디 능주다 내주 믿음을 찾아온다 그래도야
Yeah. And so, in that sense, with these things that appear to us, it would be prudent to exercise discrimination, wisdom, and study. The things you hear, the things you see, not to believe them at once. I've had experience of this personally. When people say 1, 2, and 3, if you believe it straight away, it can lead to trouble. So, and also if you believe things at face value, it can become like a type of stress. It would be more prudent to like doubt initially. But then secondly, understand it in the context of impermanence. Because often these things are past things that are already gone but are brought up again and again. And many people cling on to that past thinking it's real. I think time is a really clear example of this. We talk about past, present, and future. And when you look at it in a relaxed way, past is already gone, future's yet to come. But most people are bringing up the past or clinging on to the past a lot. So that straight away there is that disconjunct between appearance and reality. Mm-hmm. Compound. That's so.
수수 셈디 참바당 세와당 쇠와당 근데가는 유디 셈디 시원이도 수수 셈디 시원이
Okay.
비절레 시원인 것도 세상에 레세데 내 교와체보다 되네 그리고 대화요 내 교와세야 액션 야마도들의 지 참바 대화 진바 소바 주진 그것도 고면도서 레야야 줄라디네 대화인 거 안에 두고서나 지 폰도 타도 아니 지가 아예 춘지 아니 밀라 남노다야 밀라 뇌에 내가 제도 상하다 동행이 체들어 동이 겨치마는 동행하는 주제는 상황이라 얘내 미교를 세상 군족들의 남자 시인이 아니 동행다 군족들의 남자 시인 뭐 레스타 한다
And coming back to, again, setting forth conventional truth, relative truth, as an entity, let's say, looking at time, but also looking at compounds, how they are a product of cause and conditions, and how it's very useful to know that, so useful to know that in terms of how we set forth conventions, how we understand conventional things on that level of behavioral cause and effect. Because this relates to the verse by His Holiness that by understanding relative and ultimate truth, we can understand that karma. Once you understand this convention of the law of cause and effect, you can understand the way we enter into the cycle of existence and the way we reverse it. So, firstly, entering into it in terms of cause and effect. On a causal level, karma and disturbing emotions, but also, of course, the resultant level of true sufferings. So we're leaving aside emptiness for the moment. We're just looking at this first level of relative truth, how we enter into the unenlightened cyclic existence. And as I've mentioned, the importance of reflecting on your own body that is a product of the parents, sperm and ovum, but then tracing back to your own mind over and above the body. So looking at the mind, of course, not looking at others' minds, look at your own mind. And so look at your own mind, because what we tend to find is that if your own mind has more chadang, meaning attachment and aversion, then trouble tends to come from that. The mind is more perturbed and upset just from your experience. But conversely, if here we're bringing in the relative truth of causality in terms of the cause and condition of karma or action. So on the good side, on the negative side, attachment and aversion, a troubled mind ensues. But on the good side, if you cultivate through your actions loving kindness, great compassion, you're more peaceful and kind. So here we're talking about the 6 perfections in terms of virtuous actions. And on the negative side, or non-virtuous actions, we have those aforementioned disturbing thought obscurations. So that desirous attachment, aversion, competitiveness, the wish to harm others, then in that light, then you bring yourself down in this life and you will suffer in future lives due to those non-virtues. So just on that level of relative truth, those first 2 truths of the 4 Noble Truths, true sufferings and true origins. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
최선을 유니 상만하다 뭐마 정답 망고 담아데 라가 사지 망고 도차는데 와 저는 냠냠 망고 요래서 아니 상만다 미신래 상 먼저 전주생에 동발이 여성입니다. 아니 심지신 야는데 디기 주마트는 미신을 몇 개면서 하고도 미신을 같은도 최선을 유니 사고도 뭐네지 배려지 야무샤도 지금 상태에 수술 때때도 강에 열을 봐.
Yeah.
저들이야 스신 삼시시야. 기름을 튜나요 해야 싸워도 그래. 싸워다. 아니 삼시다. 수신시야. 그래서 최고. 이게 이유는 튜나요 거래. 아? 지연아 싸워다. 삼시다. 아니 수신면은 아니 가디오 있네. 아 지지. 아 이제 연락도 짜서 못 와봐.
Yeah.
그냥 이때에 삼시시고. 그래서 시행 삼시 삼고. 수술 수수지고냐 삼제 나가기 메세 중된데 요아야 말했어 나가기 메다 이내에 미신다라 되니 내가 지금이랑 간대야 보더라
Yeah. Yeah.
근데 말했어
So, in the sense that we all want, or we all want to be blissful. We don't want to suffer. And most of us that have come here in this class, we are present here at the Dharma Center. And in terms of that bliss being at the Dharma Center, harmony is indispensable. Okay, so let alone these other long-term things, the bottom line is that for the Dharma Center to be happy, we need harmony. And that harmony takes effort. If not, when people come from outside, they will pick it up. They will say, well, so and so, well, something's a bit off. And, people that have come and those who've had experience in the Dharma, some have taken the bodhicitta vows. So at least in that level, on that light, if you cannot help others, do not harm them and try to be an example for them. Try to be an example for other. The real cause of that harmony is patience and like a concern for others' welfare. These three things: harmony, loving affection, and concern for others' welfare. Sorry, harmony comes from love, concern, and patience for others' welfare, rather than always having an I orientated approach. One would think that, because often we can think, oh, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. However, in this case, if it's best for them, then if one does it because it's best for other, that is a person of honor.
세상 어디 그나 칼라로지네 말한 거면에 미신다라 땅에 소위 있어 봐.
Yeah.
나랑 담았어요. 아니 가오다 데 요구도 되네 미신다라 땅에 당하나 되버디 인시제 대위는다 너야 말했다. 데 저는 상담 그래서 칼라사야지나 마데가 미냐마 미신다 뭐 가오가기나 인도라 소셜이 다 도스트 삼시세 딜로 투남사 딜레스전 용어로 미지지 딜레스전 용어로 가도이네 스스 되바이나 디바 스스 되바면나 만디고 챤 딜레 요아야 말에 미래에 되바 담들레 봐
Yeah.
나 가금에 이나레 그런 미신다 망고 가기도 마디 그이 있잖아 아니 투남이 용어로 해서 팀에나 다 요아야 가고 싶어
So that would be that like and not like when one is like preparing food. So you might not like to cook a particular thing or even eat it. But if others like it, then you would do it for them because they would enjoy it. Or even if it comes to cleaning, you don't want to clean, but if the attitude is to do it for others, to help them, then that would be good. Of course, one has, there are so many people and each has their own likes and dislikes. You know, I like this, I don't like that. But when it comes to harmony and concern for the welfare of the greater, then those personal likes and dislikes can be put aside. Just knowing the conventional truths and how they're set forth can benefit us so much in this life. 타신다. Now, coming back to the reality of the conventional truths, some people think it's easy to understand, but if we look at emptiness and we look at relative truth, the relative truth has so many levels of cause and condition to it, it is more difficult almost to understand than the ultimate level. So without a thorough understanding of that, it's difficult. Says Chandrakirti mentions in the middle way, it is through the method of these relative truths that one comes to know the ultimate nature of things, the lack of intrinsic nature or emptiness. Yeah. As Shantideva mentions in the wisdom chapter of Bodhisattvachara, all of the aforementioned branches, meaning before the paramita of wisdom, are for the getting of wisdom. So generosity, ethics, effort, perseverance, concentration, all of that is for the getting of wisdom. All of those relatives. Yep. So then when we look at the second truth, the ultimate truth, this is talking about the final mode of things. So for example, if we look at the book has many qualities or qualificans. The book is impermanent. It's a product. You could say also it's thick, for example, or you could say it's a good book. It's impermanent and so forth. But when the book appears to our minds, it appears as if it's like a non-dependent thing in and of its own right. that it's not made up of parts and so forth. But through reasons, we can come to see that the book is in fact made up of parts. It is a dependent arising, and that cuts the book's non-dependence. So here we come to negate the intrinsic nature of the book. So we have to be clear about something being empty and emptiness. So here we're negating the book's intrinsic nature, intrinsic being. No. Yeah. 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 tambuka ogosune. Decha. Oh yeah. So here the mind is mistaken with regards to the appearance of things and then hallucinates them. So there is desirous attachment, desire. So because we're in the desire realm, often we have this idea of a thing and a person, and we carry that. Let's say that that thing or person is not at hand, but you have in your mind an idea of that thing or that person due to its appearance. So sometimes the person that you're so fond of, who might not be close, might have even died, but you're still clinging to them in a fond way, but you're not aware of it. So a lot of these appearances that come in our mind are a very gross level, are made up by our minds. And then in dependence on those appearances that we hallucinate, we go down a mistaken path. But in the Buddha Dharma, there's a profit we get because we learn to be able to take desire into the path, to take anger into the path, to see that such how you perceive the person is made by the mind. So, for example, if someone gets angry, you could reflect that that person is not really like that. Although they're exhibiting anger at the moment, they are temporarily upset due to some cause and conditions. So you trace back and you see the person's not really like the way they're appearing to you at all. Here, we're talking about Triba Shiva, the pacification of all elaborations. Because here, it is because you hallucinate something to be truly existent when it's not truly existent, that desirous attachment and aversion comes. So out of a premise of unknowing or ignorance, grasping at true existence, as Nagarjuna says, destroy karma and disturbing emotions. These cease in emptiness. So all of these things, all of these elaborations we have, such as desire, jealousy, competitiveness, desire, attachment, all of them come from clinging to true existence. So this ignorance that grasps at true existence gives rise to attachment and aversion. And when such appearances, the appearance of the things being truly existent ceases, the cessation of those elaborations, then one is in peace, the elaborations dissolve, you stop hallucinating. Now, this is something we have experience with. When you meditate, it is not something you need to conjure up. We have desire, we have aversion, we have jealousy, and this is Buddhist skillful means for showing us the path and using those things as meditation in the path. Yeah. Yeah.
자나니가 지기도 최근 네 같은 것은 수수 생기 수시하고지 라트고 뭐네 주들 와 뭐네 생기가 수시하는 거 요즘 뭐네 수 인지부지가 미도고 콘도사에 사제 이루어지 요즘 뭐네 연락은 미상말로 야고 통고면도 미가시 가도 가시 가는 와다 네 미미신나말 수수 미치기 염려원이 다가난 레이거더라 지난 뒤에 야산강으로 또 타도나 예 좀 말고 중시아 말고 몽고야 중시아 이게 demba matuga demba 중시아 이 tentom 지사위네 차단통 아니 이제 이주에서다就是现남도 라하네 다고 되면 매선 수수수수랑은 쉬워 내가 되는 쉬워 간다 한번 해봐 쉬워 그래서 제일 무슨 된데도는 소라
So that fact that the mind fabricates or hallucinates things can be traced back to that ignorance. So that when you allude to something's face value, you check and you realize, oh, I was mistaken. I did not see reality. Here, the first step is that you're starting to doubt. Is that the case or not? Is that the case or not? The way it's appearing, is the object truly existent or not? And often we come to see that in the course of a day, strange, isn't it? Like the person is appearing attractive to you, to your mind, or ugly, an object of an aversion to your mind. But if that were the case, then that person would always be attractive or always ugly, if that was the case, they were in and of their own right. But that's not the case, so we start to see that the mind made it up. And this is a very important point to introduce to one's mind, that these appearances are mind made up. Here, what's happened is cling to true existence. You've clung to something being inherent or truly existent when in reality it lacks that true existence. But the first step, even for those who doubt the true existence of that thing that's appearing, the desire starts to become less. Now, when that doubt turns to conviction, then there's much more peace of mind. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
소남 텐좀 서버 좀 이경스라 텐좀지 나디 덴버트로 이나 메나 텐좀지 서버이나 텐좀 서버 좀 이경 수버수 니도 주스 시버스 코 사람이 자원은 식도스다 텐좀 서버 좀 소다로
No. Aryadeva in 400 stanzas says that a person of little virtue doesn't even develop uncertainty about this subject. Yet, merely developing this uncertainty tears samsaric existence to shreds. So here, the person who doesn't doubt, that whether things exist truly or not, very little virtue. But the moment you start to doubt, things really exist that way or not, are they true or not, then the ground starts to shake, the samsara.
아니 디레 과진이 초게 대화 스템을 시비 쇼용을 해서 별로 초게 대화 됐어.
And so first there is that doubt which turns to conviction. First one is revolving. Do things exist truly or not? And you're doubting, is that the case or not? But then you develop a clear conviction that things are void or things lack intrinsic nature. And as Lama Tsongkhapa says in Praise of Dependent Arising, just in doubting that things lack inherent existence, then that gives rise to great bliss.
아니 이제 니 아니 실라들 근데 그제 당생만만도 제 고스들 저가 대마 막 땡땡이 비치서 다 대마만 그 땡땡이 비치서 내시리 받는다 금전상 단계 금전상 못하는데 셈나야 아니 당무 이주에서 뭐 거니가 되라 니시지 그랬어 제가서 또도 그랬어 아니 또도 뭐면은 다도 또도 그래서
And then applying further reasons, as we had in the emptiness course, to get those convictions, to make them stable. For example, it doesn't exist because it's a dependent arising. So we bring in these modes of reasoning that ascertain the final mode through valid inference, isn't it? So you conclude that things lack intrinsic existence through your valid inferences.
다 돈이 또 있나? 아니 뭐네 코가 땅에서 태버렸어. 저런 뭐지 된데도 난 된데서도 반대다에 레시기 로가 처음에 세지 라메티 통해서 다기 반대다 어차피 레시 우마주베게 예 동반이 되는 남자 때마다 어디 나랑 또 숨은도 저런 뭐지
Yeah.
라메 tingi 통 숨도 그래서 내가 좀 쉬어래.
Lama Garden. Yeah.
라메 가진데 되네. 돈이 또 없었잖아. 미시지 나랑 공개 나랑이 전제 또 숨으면 돌아. 이 남자 쉬어지도 와야 돼. 라메 가진데 돈이 또 없었다. 라메 진지 타면서 다기 이니 계속 땅 알았어. 땅 뭐네 홀리데이 라스 다 거기는 또 돈이 맞아서 베징 계속 해야지면도. 그래서 지금다 사배만이 망아서 위견이 있어요라. 계속 자요 말. 위견은 또 강인 친구들 먹고 세지 되고. 거기 되나라. 네 신제다 계속 해야지 계속 말해. 돈이 맞아서 계속 해야지 말해. 다도 스타디. 주민직 남도 옮기다. 왜 인사를 왔다? 제가 이제 뭐지 돈이 또 아니야? 나라에서 톱서 송도하다.
And again, from Lama Tsongkhapa's praise of dependent arising, due to the kindness of, one's Lama, one was able to realize through the teachings of Chandrakirti the final view of emptiness, and it can now rest from the samsaric predicament. So here, the real rest does not come until one has realized emptiness, as was alluded to Chandrakirti in, through those teachings of the middle way. And there's a big point here because Lama Tsongkhapa doesn't state, I got it, I got emptiness. He says through the Lama's kindness. So that means that through the Lama's kindness, getting that insight into emptiness, and then the mind is able to be at rest. I mean, we talk about having the weekend off or Saturday or Sunday off, but there's no real rest because in samsara, you're totally under the power of thought. But the real rest is when those invalid thoughts stop and you realize emptiness. No. And coming back to our setting forth of the two truths, Nagarjuna in the Heart of Wisdom. So destroy karma and disturbing emotions. These come from, mental constructs, which come from elaborations of true existence, which cease in emptiness. So it is within the understanding of the void nature of things that such elaborations or hallucinations cease, which brings us to the second of the latter two truths, isn't it? True sensations and true paths. So once more coming back to His Holiness, you're looking at on a relative truth level how we enter into cyclic existence, and how on an ultimate truth level, the latter two truths, we reverse it with true cessations and true paths. Yeah, so being says that by understanding relative truths, one can set forth the Four Noble Truths. Yeah, so we want bliss, right? But we want the final bliss. If you're going for bliss, go for the ultimate bliss. Without understanding relative truth, that's not going to be. Yeah. If one doesn't want the final bliss, then you can hang out in samsara. And, in terms of cyclic existence and its opposite, bliss, if there's no going for liberation, if there's no mind that wants to go for that state of nirvana or bliss, then there's no getting out of it. And for most people, they wouldn't have that inclination. They just go round and round. So there's no focal object for them. So therefore they will suffer. Here, this is self-made. It is self-made. And we hope that seeing the plight of those beings, we will cultivate a quality compassion, because seeing that although those beings want to be happy, they are not separate from the causes of, they are not separate from the causes of suffering. So in that light, then they're objects of our compassion. Yeah. Yeah. So that what we went through today is the broad overview, or the basis of the Buddha Dharma, the foundation. And as Lord Buddha said, I have shown you the path to liberation, but whether or not you go on that path is in your hand.
제요 말이죠. 말한데 수수수 갈래지야는 주시는데. 나 그래서 토냐 시다 시겠지는 지글라올레 핀도 말다서와 부냐냐 상단에는 지글라올들 얘는 이제 뭐 민께라 좀 모두 주단 되게 그러지. 님좀도 되게도 다죠. 이거
So without effort, then that resultant liberated state does not come to be. We cannot get that by praying, by like praying on may we be enlightened, or even Lama, please help me. That won't work. Praying to Buddha, that won't really work. What can help is if we put effort into meditation and wisdom, getting a discriminating mind, just as Shakyamuni Buddha did, and that is it. Apart from that, as I mentioned earlier, to rely on someone famous or think, that one can get the result through that. At the time of death, there might be no result. We'll dedicate now.
Turning to page 31, short mandala.
或许这些没到场，遇到平行你的看法，上也行的没得。